Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom preview streams. It's Wednesday. It's not quite 7 o'clock. We're doing it a little bit earlier this week because some selfish person has to go to a 50th birthday meal. Hi Jake, how you doing, mate?
All right, yeah. Who is it?
I don't know. He sometimes dabbles on this stream. Sometimes comes up with really good FPL advice. Sometimes a little bit weak, but he's all right. He's all right. I'd class him as a friend, maybe. That's
Oh, he was a close friend last week.
Well, yeah, he's gone down a little bit. Made me
Is
start
that
at
because
half
you're getting a bit
six.
worried on FPL draft?
Uh, just a little bit. Not in normal draft though. I mean normal FPL. That's fine. We're fine there.
Yeah, and I was never even focusing on that.
We will be live for about an hour. Like we said, Jake does have to dash off for a family meal, but we're going to try and answer as many of your questions. We're going to look through our teams in Game Week 7, our team lineup for Game Week 8, and a wildcard draft that I have put together because, as you'll see, my team is in a pretty bad place. And of course, right at the end, we do have the Bedshitter of the week. Unfortunately, Nicholas Jackson can't win it this week. Still yet to collect his 2 prizes from the previous weeks, but I'm sure he'll get there. He'll get there. Regulars in the chat as well. We've got Luke. We've got Jamie. Like I said, if you've got any questions, do get them in, and we will try to answer as many as possible. But Jake, we're going to start off with your team first. How you got on in Game Week 6. If you want to run us through what went well, what didn't quite work so well, and yeah, your just overall thoughts after double Game Week 7.
Okay. The double game week tempted and teased me in, thing which I went for, and it paid off to some extent. Maybe it didn't pay off for the right reasons because nothing happened. Of course, I went for captaining Colton Morris. He didn't do anything in the second game week, whether he should have done or shouldn't have done. He didn't, but he featured. All the damage was done there at Goodison Park. Fantastic. It was a fantastic result, to be fair, for me to get the right captain, because I know in our head-to-head where there are 19 other players, everyone captained Haaland.
Yeah.
But that being said, I can't be like who's laughing now or anything, because the rest of my team really let me down. So if anything, that little risk and that once in a blue moon shout to go against Haaland and captain newly promoted Carlton Morris has, if anything, just made my week look a lot like, it's just made it look respectful. Like, as you can see, it's just below average. But when really, if you delve into the team, it is quite significantly below average. But yeah, it's a shame. But I mean, from the keeper, I've already cancelled myself out because I've gone for Pickford. I must say, I did think Everton would win that game. Did not expect what happened, but it did, and it benefited me in the other end of the pitch, so I can't complain. I think my team itself, I wasn't too fussed by. I was happy to go Liverpool against Spurs with Salah and Son, and on another day, Salah would have got an assist. Son scored his goal that he always tends to do against Liverpool, so I got that part right. And like the rest of them, they were all right. Shame we've got Mark Gahey, but we've had this conversation where benching Palace players, I think, is something that a lot of people would have done, especially after United played Palace and controlled them in midweek in the Cup. But of course, it was never going to work out that straightforward for this United of late.
Nope.
But of course, I was never going to. If I could go back, I wouldn't have done anything differently with the Palace players. I would have benched them, so it's just harsh luck. But yeah, I think the main thing that I'm disappointed by, not naming any names or blaming any blames with
Here we go.
but I saved up 2 free transfers, 2 valuable free transfers, and for whatever reason, I let people get into my head. And when I don't let people get into my head, I do things like captaining Carlton Morris, and when he gets 10 points, as opposed to Haaland, who got 2, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I listen to people, I don't go for Kufal, and I don't go for Brune Larson.
Oh.
Now, don't get me wrong, Brune Larson, I don't think has actually seen the pitch. I don't think he's lasted 90 minutes, especially in a league game. He's lasted a good chunk of League Cup football, where he scored, but actual league football, hardly seen the pitch, so I understand why that would have been a bit of a dodgy move. And I think if you rolled it all over again and again and again, most of the time it wouldn't pay off for me. So it's just one of those things. But I was Urin and Aaron over Kufal and Brian Larson. Bit of a joke, it's just a gut feeling. And of course, he goes and scores last night, like 10 minutes after coming off the bench for his 15-minute cameo. And of course, Kufal in the meantime gets an assist and a clean sheet. So I think that's the only place where I was a bit disappointed. But the thing is, it could have gone so differently because I think with like 6 minutes left of yesterday's games, I was getting the clean sheet and a few bonus for Charlie Taylor. And then all of a sudden it just went tits up. So as much as I want to blame people who will remain anonymous, I think overall it was just one of those really where I think I probably made a more sensible decision to go for Paqueta, but then again, he seems to be the silky boy that doesn't tend to get that much goal and assist contribution at the moment. So maybe I just went the silk rather than the outcome. Like the foreplay. I went for the foreplay. Didn't go for the outcome. When really I should have gone for that full-blown penetration, or like the guy that lasts 15 seconds in Bryn Larson, because even that worked.
Yeah.
But wasn't to be. So yeah, overall, bit of a shame, but yeah, I'm happy with my captaincy. At least that saved face somewhat.
Yeah, definitely. John's what up, boss man? That's a rogue introduction. City edits as well. Hi, mate. We've also had a question saying someone's very tempted to captain Darwin against Brighton this week. Obviously, they conceded 6 against Aston Villa. Jake, resident Liverpool supporter as well. Would you be captaining Darwin this week?
I don't know, because I think, of course, City have got a very tough fixture against Arsenal. But is that the kind of game where Haaland shows his quality in those big games? That's where you really do split the men amongst the boys, and I do think Haaland is neither. He's a robot.
True.
So like I feel like he would just click into shape against Arsenal potentially, unless like this is a City team that really, really, really do miss Rodri.
Yeah.
And maybe that will stop them ticking, because it does seem to have definitely affected them. So yeah, I would definitely be up for looking at alternatives to Haaland, and I can see why he'd be tempted to go for Darwin, considering Jota now being suspended, Gakpo looking like he could be out for a few weeks at least. So you would expect the front three to be something along the lines of Diaz, Darwin, and Salah, without much room for manoeuvre. So yeah, I mean, he should start, he should play, and so most of the time when I've seen him play, he does seem to have the chances. So it's just whether he can hit it first time and not think, because if he does that, 9 times out of 10 he'll score. But if he actually has time and he's through on goal, then it may not quite go in his favour. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'll be more inclined to captain Darwin than Haaland this week. But Haaland's most likely to last 90 minutes. Darwin, I think, should last a good chunk of the game because of the suspensions and injuries and all that. But you never know. But then I do feel like there's most likely I've not got it in front of me, but there's probably better strikers to captain this week.
Probably Son. Son's probably the number 1 captain for this week for a lot of people.
Yeah, against Luton.
Obviously, James Maddison's got a really good away record. Ollie Watkins, they've got Wolves off the back of his 5 attacking return performance as well. Probably better options. You feel like Brighton will probably bounce back from that result as well.
He's gone for Darwin over Watkins though, hasn't he?
Yeah, true.
Interesting one, but I rate it. I do rate it. Maybe it's one of those things where you don't tend to see strikers hit such big holes consecutively, unless you are Haaland. But then if Watkins is really going to take the name of like Harry Kane or someone as that second best striker in the league, he's got to do something like that and start to be consistent. And Villa have definitely got the team now to support him with his goal contribution. So, I mean, Watkins is an interesting one. Shame he's gone for Darwin, but then on the contrary, Darwin should play as well. So it really does depend. But I do like the idea of not going for Haaland this week.
Yeah, yeah, I can get on board with that. Right, let's move on to your team. Kind of talk us through your lineup and if you've made a transfer. I can't quite see if you have. I don't think you have you? Not yet. But yeah, talk us through your transfer plans and how the team's lined up for this week.
All right, sound. Well, I'm not too sure about what I should do defensively. Um, I like I quite like, and I think you're in the boat of keeping Jackson this week. I don't know because now you're having a bit of a dilemma now whether to wild card or not. But I'll leave
Yeah.
that for you to just cry about in a few minutes. But I think I'm quite happy having Jackson. That being said, watch Broya start now because he scored. But I think there are more important places to maybe look at a transfer. I think I am intrigued by a wild card soon after the international break, so it doesn't really matter too much about who I get rid of, as long as I get someone that's got a good couple of fixtures at least. Um, I like Pickford. I mean, I don't know if I've really just said that out loud, to be
I
honest.
like Pickford.
Uh, so what I mean to say is Pickford at home to Bournemouth
Yeah.
isn't a terrible thing on paper,
No.
but it won't work out. And
No.
maybe I should bring in Solanke. But that's just it's not something where I'm worrying about a quick transfer there. I mean, even Turner away to Palace, that could be a nil-nil. Who knows? I've got Gay here and got in defence as well. So like, I don't know if how confident I am about going back in a nil-nil there, but I would back Palace over Forest at Selhurst Park, I think. Um, thanks F2IS4L, by the way. I really appreciate that. No need to shout, lad. Um, but yeah, no. So I've got Cash. Happy with that. Happy with Trent because he should make his return. I think.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Gahey against Forest. That makes sense. Um, I feel like I am kind of contradicting myself by having Gibbs White, but he didn't play. He didn't start against Burnley, which really surprised me. And then, not Burnley, sorry, Brentford. He then came off the bench and they scored almost immediately. He actually got the assist to the assist. Shame there were no points for that. But yeah, so I am keen to keep him just because I feel like he will start this time because he did seem to have an effect on the game. And I mean, did you see the tackle he made as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that.
So I feel like he has earned himself a starting place in that team. I've kind of made my bed with Paqueta. I can't see myself like swallowing my pride and getting rid of him after 1 week. I feel like that's a bit harsh on him.
Yep.
I feel like he's on penalties as well, so you never know with him, um, especially at home to Newcastle. Newcastle have got a really tough game tonight, so maybe that'll take the wind out of them a little bit going then to the Olympic Stadium. I feel like that could be quite a tough one for Newcastle.
Yep.
Song captain. I feel like I'm going to be that's going to be a majority vote this week, as you mentioned previously. I like Salah, can't take him out. Then we get on to the strikers. I really don't know what. I think if I was going to do something, I would make a change there. The only thing that's stopping me from doing that is the fact that I've got two players on my bench that aren't even going to play because they're suspended.
Yep.
Reece James has been suspended for another game, but I know he's still injured, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. He's not like fully back in training yet either. So.
But maybe like they both come back, both suspended, then come back after the internationals. Does Reece James like come straight back into the team, or will he not be ready yet? I don't know if I want to take that risk, and maybe I do just take a hit and get rid of Gusto. But to be honest, I can't really think unless you have someone that you would really highly recommend. I actually can't think of someone there that I would want to take out as opposed to going into this international break with 2 free transfers to deal with after like when the teams come back.
Yeah, yeah. I get that.
And I'm happy with the song captain, and I feel like the rest of it, I'm all right with. I am all right with.
Yeah. You're getting some absolute slander in the chat, by the way. That TPS player saying put Matip as one of your strikers. Brutal.
That
Absolutely.
TPS player.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna I'm gonna hold my tongue over what I want to say to him, but he clearly hasn't watched the match.
And Buemo replacements 0.4 mil in the bank. I would have previously suggested Diaby, but it looks like he might be out. I think Pedro Neto's a really good shout. Who else have we got around that midfield mark as well? A lot of players are kind of picking up injuries, so it's making it a lot harder to kind of decide. But I'd probably say Pedro Neto is one of my favourite ones to potentially go for. Trying to think. James Ward-Prowse as well is top 4 expected assists. So those probably be my top 2 as well, with the good fixtures coming up for them. Try and have a look through any other questions that we've kind of gone through. Thoughts on Awoniyi? I was potentially looking at bringing him in last week. I know they've got good next 2 fixtures for Nottingham Forest, so I definitely think he should be a shout. I'd probably say that TPS player, I'd probably go Ward-Prowse over Diaby.
Really?
Just because Diaby's got that, he's not going to play tomorrow. And he might be out for the weekend. He probably is back after the international break. But I just think, I don't know. He does seem like one of those players that if he picks up an injury, he could just, I don't know. I've just got a feeling. And I feel...
Come on, mate. Put your money where your mouth is and keep Mbeumo in and put Matip in your team.
That is the thing though. Like, United have been terrible. So what's to stop Brian and Mbeumo going and scoring at the weekend? Absolutely nothing. I know he's been dreadful the past 3 to 4 game weeks, but still does pose the question. I wouldn't be doing Saka to Odegaard either, John, to be honest. Arsenal's fixtures are quite tricky, especially City, really difficult fixture. Then Chelsea, that could go either way. It's one of those. And then Sheffield United at home is a great fixture. But then after that, it's Newcastle away. It's not till around game week 12 that I probably would want another Arsenal player. And yeah, I feel like with the news around Saka as well that he might play. You know, apparently there's going to be a late fitness check on him. Arteta's kind of resilience to play him in every single match as well. What's to stop Saka playing again, scoring, you know, picking up points. So I don't think it's worth doing that sideways move, to be honest. And I agree with your point as well, Jake. I think it would be a wise decision to potentially take 2 free transfers into that international break. I think maybe one of the only other things that I would suggest is Dominic Solanke for Carlton Morris. That'd probably be the only thing that I'd maybe look for. Or maybe, I know we've spoke about him briefly, and I'm going to speak about him a little bit later. Maybe Jackson to Højlund. Because then you could delay your wildcard to game week 10 and get Højlund versus Sheffield United in 9.
True, but then again, like it's one of those really where you could even just see how that goes with. Sorry, I've just had someone just wave at me through the window. No, I think as much as Højlund would be a good shout for Jackson's got a good game against Chelsea, and so you could arguably still stick with that double free transfer and bring him in then, couldn't you?
Yeah. 100% agree with that.
Brentford could turn United over, and it might just be a good opportunity maybe to be sensible and just see if United can get themselves back on track.
True. But yeah, cool. That is your team. I think it's in a good place, mate. It's in a lot better place than mine, as we'll come on to discover. Let's start off with my points for game week. It's definitely not game week 6. That graphic is wrong. What?
John's loving the Arsenal moves, isn't he?
He is. I'm guessing he's a massive Arsenal fan.
You're a big gunner, John.
Yeah. But yeah, ignore the graphic. This is my game week 7 points. And as you can see, I had 3 players return. The rest of them, yeah, probably the less said, the better, to be honest. Son with his goal, he was my transfer in this week for Eze. So that went well, especially with Eze picking up that injury. Puts me in a good place with the Spurs assets. Saka picking up his goal, that could have been so much more as well if he, didn't decide to be a really good Samaritan and donate, his 2 penalties to Martin Odegaard. Carlton Morris, I'm really happy that I brought him in a few game weeks ago. he has lived up to the hype and done really, really good things in my team. Massively helped me with my rank.
Oh, if only you captained him, eh?
That's one of the things. I think with hindsight, it's just one of them. I'm just happy I had him, to be honest. And he definitely could have got a lot more attacking returns in this double game week. So I think when Luton have positive fixtures again, I definitely think Morris could be one of those players that I would eye up, because he's definitely proved himself to me that he looks to be Premier League quality. The rest of the Luton side, probably not. But but Carlton seems to be, you watch the game and you go, everything kind of goes through him. He's the kind of main player that they aim for from corners as well, and free kicks. So he's a really good asset to have in those regards. So definitely, I think maybe if you didn't want to have a 4.5 million striker, you could just have Carlton Morris. I know it eats that extra million in the bank, but he definitely, for some fixtures, I feel I'd be happy enough to kind of play him in them. Because I definitely think he showed over the past few weeks he's got that Premier League quality.
Oh, lad, I've just seen.
What have you seen?
We're back in Son here in the Gandhi kickoff.
Yes, we are. Some of us have got 3 Spurs players for this week.
Oh, no.
We'll come on to that. We'll move on to that. Again, I've used the wrong graphic. This isn't the Game Week 7 team selection. It's Game Week 8. I've had a mare. All right. But this is how the team's looking for this week. And it's triple Spurs against Gandhi. But you know what? Gandhi's having some time off, pal. The early kickoff so far this season, he's not been feeling it, has he?
He hasn't. No, you make a good point there. I feel like Gandhi's been overpowered to some extent in these early kickoffs of late. But that being said, it just puts a little grain of doubt in your mind, and it's never nice captaining someone that plays first game, is it?
Oh, you should see that. I just nearly knocked my tooth out with the glass.
Oh, lad, I can't see. I'm gonna have to watch on the stream and see it in about 5 minutes.
Just proper twonked my tooth with the glass. Ow, that hurt. That really hurt. But yeah, back to FPL and not dentistry. The team it's looking shaky, to say the least. Obviously, we've got the Saka kind of news that he might be fit. He's going to have a late fitness check. That never bodes well. City at home as well is not an ideal fixture for him either. You've got Estupinian, who's apparently out for the Europa League game, and then numerous games. There's been kind of no number kind of put against that. Botman looks like he's not going to be back till the end of the international break, so he's not available. I've already made my free transfer this week. I did Chilwell to cash just because of price rises and price decreases. Decreases. I'm in a bloody crisis over here, mate. But yeah, just down to decreases to do that and keep team value. Then we've got United, who are just questionable.
But Bruno would do something, mate. Bruno, if someone's going to do something, Bruno does seem to be that man, doesn't he?
I don't know anymore. I've lost all faith in United. And then Mbeumo as well. He's just gone off the boil in the past few weeks. He's been moved out to that left-hand side, and it's not working, is it? It's not working for Brentford. The results haven't been there. The performances haven't been there. Arguably, he was unlucky not to get a penalty return at the weekend. And maybe if he'd have got that, I'd have been feeling a lot more confident going into this game week with Brian Mbeumo. But this is the position we're in. And it's just we're proper verging on the edge of wildcard territory here, because the team is just it's looking miserable. It's looking really, really bad. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously Jackson as well. Some reason we're keeping faith with him. One more game. But yeah, I am feeling the wild card this week, to be honest. I don't know what your thoughts are on that team, whether or not I've got it lined up right or what.
I actually think you said off air that you thought my team looked strong, in a better position, but I actually think yours is. I do quite like your team. I know we've got the early kickoff maybe at the back of your mind to worry about, but you really can't. If it does go against you, that triple Spurs, then we know for a fact that Gandhi is still somewhere making.
Yeah, he's kicking about, isn't he?
Yeah, because really it should not be an issue. and I like everyone else's games. Like I get the Estepinian one even because I feel like we are susceptible to concede.
I mean,
Uh,
he is injured though.
but how injured?
He's probably going to miss these games. Like
Well,
he's.
then just get Kabore in, lad.
Oh no, I can't trust. I can't trust that fraud.
Okay, so what transfer if you were to just do whatever
I've
you
already done one. I've already done
want?
one.
Was it?
It was Chilwell to cash.
Okay.
Positive.
Okay. And like, would you be more inclined to wildcard than -4?
Yes, because I feel like I was probably going to wildcard in 10 anyway, and I feel like why would I take a minus if I'm just going to wildcard a few weeks later anyway? You know what I mean? I might as well do it now, save myself that -4, and try and get on top of some price rises.
Have you got a wild card?
Oh, of course I have, mate. Do you want to see that? I'll whip that
Go
bad boy
for
up
it,
for
lad.
you. I'll
Go.
exclusive here. You know, maybe you want to go
It's
watch the
almost like we
World.
planned this, like
Yeah,
little.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's almost like I planned it, and I've used the right, the right title sequence as well. So well done, me. Well done, me. This is what I've gone for at the moment. So we've gone for the two cheap goalkeeper options, Areola and Turner. Whatever, cool. Matty Cash, because Aston Villa's fixtures are absolutely ridiculous up until around game week 13, game week 14. We've gone Gahey as Crystal Palaces are really good around 10, 11 onwards. A Doji in here for this kind of next kind of run of Spurs fixtures. Son and Maddison, same again. Salah in here for Liverpool's good fixture run. Jared Bowen in here for West Ham's good fixture run around game week 10. Pedro Neto as kind of just my little rogue pick. He's been absolutely slapping it over the past few weeks. Has got Bournemouth in game week 9 or 10. And then I'd probably switch him to Matoma when Brighton's fixtures turn around 11. And then I've gone for Højlund because I watched the Champions League game yesterday and I just thought, there's just something about him. It's just his pace and he just seems to be getting into the right positions. Playing 90 minutes, played that I think the past 3 games he's played 90 minutes as well. So,
He's looked really bright.
yeah, and, I feel United are at that point and they always seem to get to this point every couple seasons, or pretty much in their case every season, where just so much goes wrong that then at some point...
Why am I getting a phone call? Why is the cafe getting called at this time?
If you are ringing Jake and you're looking to place an order, unfortunately the cafe is closed right now, so Jake can't take any calls. Maybe
Yeah, try again at 9 o'clock tomorrow.
maybe you take it and just like get their order live on stream. Someone's gonna love that. Just ring them up and just oh, hello.
You're like, mate, the same Babe Station.
Yeah, but if this was Babe Station, you'd be massively disappointed if you had to tug the old turkey to me and you, just like going, well, I really like Rasmus Højlund this week. Oh yeah, keep talking to me, sweetheart. Go on, keep talking to me. Where were we?
What a tangent.
Yeah, what a tangent. Anyway, moving on from tugging. Rasmus Højlund, I think, look really good. They play Sheffield United in game week 9. Then they play Luton and Fulham in like 11 and 13 as well. So I feel like, I said this, United get to this point every year, it seems, where everything goes wrong. You know what I mean? The roof's leaking. There's Galatasaray fans in the home end. They've just lost a really embarrassing result. Back-to-back embarrassing results. You feel like it can't get any lower. And with the quality that they have in the team, you do feel like something has to change at some point. There's some really good fixtures coming up, and something will just change. Like, it just can't continue to happen, if you know what I mean. I feel they're at their lowest. I feel
Meanwhile, Brighton have not. Brighton. Meanwhile, Brentford have been in a really poor run.
Yeah, exactly. Any other week, any other year, I feel like I would probably back Brentford to, go and get a result. They've got a really good top 6 record. But at the moment, with the injury crisis that they're having, you do feel they are susceptible to a potential, upset from a top 6 side, which seems absolutely rogue to say, but they've been so impressive against, top sides since they've been promoted to the Premier League. But it does seem like something could happen in that game.
Agreed.
And then, the rest of the bench, Areola we spoke about. Branthwaite's playing games for Everton, 4 million defender. cool. Cameron Archer, 4.5 million striker, and then Botman, who should be back after the international break, so keep him with the Newcastle defence as well. What do you think of that wild card compared to the team that I've got?
Well, I mean, like, there's no doubt that it is strong.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think the thing is, I think you are right that if you are, I think especially if you're going to consider taking a -4, it's worth going for the wild card when you look at that and you look at the fixtures that all those teams, all those players have.
Yeah.
They rotate quite nicely with one another. I think the only thing that I'd be reluctant to do it for is the international break, to be fair.
Yeah, that's the big thing that's kind of hindering me.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
what happens if I do this and then we come back out of the international break and they go, right, well, Son got injured on international duty. You know, Maddison picked up an injury.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at it going, oh, bloody hell, I'm back in the same position again where I've got to get my transfers to get back out. And then we've got another international break in November as well. So it just feels like surely there's going to be another injury crisis at some point as well.
To be fair, during that international break, the Liverpool Spurs game might get replayed. So
It could. You know, that would be a rogue one.
Well, it's all right. Triple Spurs would be great.
Triple Spurs would be fantastic for that right now. But yeah, I just wanted to know your thoughts on it, to be honest.
I know. I think it's really strong. I like that. I think the only reason I'd be reluctant is the international break, but then fuck it. Sometimes.
Whoa.
Sometimes you've just got to go for it and just be like, you know what? I've got all these things I'm in and iron about. That team would be strong this weekend.
Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like it's one of those really where, like, you've definitely got a good team there if you were to go for it. So it's not like you're taking a risk anywhere. The only risk you are taking, like you said, is if there are any injuries. But if you're actually just thinking about the quality of the team in front of you, it's class. So I wouldn't be against. I wouldn't say that's a daft thing to do if you were to go for that. Otherwise, you just got to bank on Estepinian making a miraculous recovery or Kabore being absolutely amazing. But then again, you don't want him to be amazing because you want Spurs to absolutely slap him. So you may just have to take the hit on that one if you want to wait a fortnight.
Yeah, I get that, to be honest. But yeah, that's the wild card. It looks like we've had quite a few questions, so we'll hit some of them up before we move on to Bedshitter of the week. Let's have a look. Would you play a front three of Julian Alvarez, Haaland, and Archer?
Probably not. But
who would you drop out of them?
Well, it just depends. Like, it's hard because it depends on what the midfield is. But I think I'd drop Alvarez.
Big shout.
I think he's susceptible to Pep roulette more than Haaland is, and I think Haaland is more likely to score. Like, I think that's just the basics of it. I know Alvarez has been really, really good of late, whilst Haaland has seemed to be in a bit quieter. But I do feel like that just means it's just a matter of time before he does something. And the thing is, Haaland is not going to be benched against Arsenal. And if he is, it's going to affect a lot of managers. Whereas if Alvarez is benched, I feel like a lot of managers will have already maybe been a bit more precautious about Alvarez now. Don't get me wrong, you can't hide the fact that he is a quality player when he does get the chance, and he does seem to be in a bit of a purple patch, but that doesn't matter to Pep. No. I think, to be fair, one thing to consider would be to see what team lines up tonight. I know the team will be out now, but it's interesting to see who plays tonight. I don't think it'll matter about Haaland. I think if he plays tonight, which he should, he'll still play against Arsenal. But I think if Alvarez plays, there's a chance he could get rotated. If he doesn't start, then there's a chance.
No Alvarez.
Well, in which case you'd expect him to play, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So I'm glad I've said that before, putting pen and paper to it, because actually now it's making me second guess it. I just feel like the one reason why I jumped straight to it, of course, I said the Pep roulette, and I do think that is something you always have to consider. But now that we've got through that, and I think, I don't know what you'd say, but I would assume Alvarez would start now that he's not started this game.
It is Pep. It is
It is,
Pep.
but it's the fact that it's against Arsenal. That's a
Yeah,
tough
yeah, yeah,
game.
yeah. Yeah, it's a really
Uh,
difficult game.
and so even if they both do play, especially away to Arsenal, they beat them in the Community Shield. I know people say it's absolutely like worthless, meaningless, but it will give Arsenal some some motivation, knowing that they can do it, they can beat City, they can play them at their own game.
Yeah.
And also there have been a few. Well, last season it was the title decider, those games. So I feel like they have got a point to prove Arsenal at the Emirates. So I feel like it's going to be a really difficult game for City, and Arsenal are playing them at a good time because they're having a bit of a poor spell. They've not got Rodri, and I think that's going to be a massive miss.
Yeah.
It has proven to be so far. So I think going Alvarez and Haaland, the main thing is I actually don't think this is a banker of a win for City.
No, no. I agree with that point. I very much agree with you on that one. Next question. Tim Ream or James Tarkowski? I can weigh in with this one. I bought Tim Ream this week on So Rare because they've got Sheffield United. So who knows?
I think I go for Tim Ream,
Yeah, he is a very good player, to be honest. Very unfortunate with kind of the goal that he was kind of given as an error leading to his goal, as the ball was just played off his foot. That was kind of a little bit heavy from the weekend. But yeah, Tim Ream was like a 1 week punt if you were looking for one. Probably be Tim Ream.
Is that a 0-0 game, do you think?
I could see someone like Harry Wilson or
Decor
Bobby Reed.
He's got his name written all over this, doesn't he?
A 1-0 Fulham win with him scoring. That's what it pongs of, to be honest. HT has said he's activated his wild card and he's only got 99.6 resale value. Yeah, it depends how you've bought players and how much value you've got tied in players. There's probably really, really good videos that can kind of explain team value a lot better than I can kind of off the top of my head. But basically it works where when you buy a player and their value goes up, you need it to go up by 2 to get that 0.1 back. It's very complex. It's not, but it is. And it's a little bit difficult to kind of explain. So there's definitely videos on that. And it kind of indicates why you should take kind of heed of price changes in FPL. Sometimes they seem a little bit kind of inconsequential, but at the same time, when you go to wildcard, you need really good team value in the bank to kind of be able to then hop onto the next train, hop onto the next players with fixtures as well, to be honest. Right, Jake, let's move on to Bedshitter of the Week. A very illustrious competition that every single player in FPL would like to win. And I feel there's some very good prime candidates. Obviously, previous winners, Nicholas Jackson for the past 2 game weeks. He's been leading the way. Unfortunately, he's not available for Game Week 7. He'll be back for Game Week 8, though. And if me and Jake keep our teams the exact way we do, well, we could be winning his 3rd Bedshitter of the Week trophy. Jake,
Really good.
I'm going to ask you for your nomination for this week.
Does it have to be a footballer or can it be an official?
The whole VAR team. Actually, refs in general this weekend. There's been some proper terrible decisions.
God, so there's a lot of teams that you could say bed shat this week, couldn't you?
Yep.
But for an actual player to have bed shit,
wow, radio silence. The suspense.
I'm gonna go for Jota.
Jota. Wow. That's a rogue one. Can you explain your decision there, please, pal?
I think he's just being a bit of a lunatic, to be honest. I can't. Like, I'm going through all the results, and I feel like Everton losing, you could pinpoint someone out of there maybe. But I feel like it's just a team thing. Same with United. Same with, City. Like, that was a surprise. Same with Brighton. Like, they all just performed as a team, like, unanimously poor.
Yep.
Whereas I think if I was to highlight one moment or one player having a really particularly poor day in the office, I would say he probably would take the bait because he's come off the bench, they're down to 10 men, the level when he comes on, of course, it's a bit of a fiery game. There's a lot of controversy involved, but then, and I know the first yellow card was very harsh, but to kick out like that when you're against 10 men, when you're playing with 10 men, you just need to keep your head. And I just feel like that's they really let the side down. I know they played extremely well with 9 men, and it was really harsh luck that Matip put the ball in the net because I bet he couldn't do that if he tried to do that again. It's just one of those where it's hit him so unfortunately, but yeah, Jota really didn't help that. Coming off the bench for Gakpo, who was injured, to get himself sent off when the second yellow was really something he can't argue with was very foolish from him.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think my two candidates are the two guys on screen. Obviously, Ruben Diaz with the own goal, quite a highly owned asset as well. You'd expect City to keep a clean sheet against Wolves. Didn't quite work out. But for me, my personal bedshitter of the week, and I imagine a lot of people will be on this one as well, it is Estupinian. Obviously scored the own goal, came off at half-time as well, so finished the game on -2 points. And for people that had Botman as well, who came in for Botman for a lot of people? It was Estupinian. So, just continued his trolling ways as well. So I definitely think he is my candidate for bedshitter of the week. He's been so impressive over the start of this season and large parts of last season, but has now, shat bed. And just to top it off, that little bit of extra spice, the cherry on top, injured himself. So he's my vote. So we will start the poll. Jota versus Estupinian for bedshitter of the week. If you do have any of these players' details, maybe their address, something like that, and you want to send it to us, we'll get it sent to them and get them the nice little bedshitter of the week trophy. If Nicholas Jackson is out there, we do have your 2 trophies still here, mate, from previous weeks. So if you want to come and collect them, it would be great because they are taking up a little bit of room. So we'll let that kind of tick on for a little bit longer. And me and Jake, we're just going to sit back. We're going to relax. We're going to relax for 15 or so minutes, and we're going to answer any of your questions that you do have and talk about, football, life, maybe a little bit of girl trouble. Maybe, I don't know, someone wants to ring the calf again just for a bit of banter. Spice things up a little bit. This is your time, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. We're the agony ants of FPL. So get your questions in, and we will try to answer as many as possible. Jake, I'm going to ask you for your highest
I've just
scoring
got a
game.
question. Go on. Why does Jamie Hayes have to be pervy this week?
No, he means Purvis Estupinian. Yeah, come on, mate.
Got to be pervy this week, though. That first week of October.
Yeah. It's always, the first week where you go, a little bit pervy. Bordering on very dangerous territory. Very dangerous territory. As always on this stream, though. It's never, sound, is it really? I'm going to ask you the question I was originally going to ask you. The highest scoring game of this game week. What do you think it's going to be?
I would say the game that stands. I'm going to go for Everton Bournemouth.
Yes. Now you're talking my kind of language. Everton versus Bournemouth, baby.
Is that what you're saying as well?
Both of them have been putting up some really good data though. Everton's XG's been ridiculous. No, I'm going to go for a little bit of a different variety with my pick. I'm going to go Fulham Sheffield United.
Okay.
Really high quality game, that one. It's got its Premier League written all over it. But yeah.
Bloody hell, that TPS player is really anti-Liverpool, isn't he?
He just hates you, lad. He just hates you, to be honest. Who do you think's...
Is that my ex?
I'm going to come on here and I'm going to go in the stream and I'm just going to type awful stuff about him.
And that's because you left a shit stain on my bed sheets.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway,
Oh, Christ. Ah. For anyone wondering, Jake isn't single anymore, so if you wanted to snap him up after that comment, he's a taken man now. He's a
maybe
taken
that's
man.
what our TPS players about. This is the way of
Yeah,
hitting on
yeah,
some.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You get in at him. But yeah, if you do have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, about FPL before this stream absolutely falls apart, um, and the police are actually ringing up the calf where Jake is to tell him that he's going to be taken away in the back of a van. Yeah, any questions you do have, ladies and gentlemen, do get them in before we finish up. We'll probably wrap up in about 5 minutes if we don't get any questions, but if we do get some questions, we'll continue a little bit longer. Who do you think is going to be the best scoring player this week, Jake?
Points wise, do you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Points wise.
Um, I do think you're right. I do feel like if we can look past Gandhi, which as much as you might be reluctant to, I think this season Gandhi's not really had the same touch as he has in the past. His killer instinct hasn't really been there. Maybe he's injured, um, but I do feel like Son may just sneak past the Gandhi curse.
Mm.
And you know what, mate? One little shout out. I'm going to go Nicholas Jackson.
Wow, that is a rogue shout. That is a rogue shout. So you can expect him to be nominated for Bedshitter of the Week next week. That's going to be happening with Nicholas Jackson. I think for me, I'm going to go Tim Ream. It's just got a corner and clean sheet written all over it. You know what I
That's
mean?
awesome. That would be awesome.
3 bonus points coming away with like a 15 or a 16 pointer, to be honest. We have had some questions, some real questions. So that's good. Salah or Son captain? Which way are you leaning, Jake?
Son, fully Son.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that Brighton game could go either way. I think Salah should get some kind of goal contribution. I'll be surprised if it's a goalless draw, and I think a Liverpool score he'll be part of it.
Yeah.
But I think Son could get a couple and could get maybe an assist as well.
You'd hope so. You'd hope so. Especially when, we're all chucking our captaincy armband on him as well.
Mm. Maybe this is the week I go Haaland.
Maybe it is, lad. No one else is going for Haaland, so maybe you've got to go for Haaland. Jamie, I'll go review your wildcard draft after the stream, mate.
What'd you say, mate?
I was talking to Jamie. I wasn't talking to you. Sorry, pal.
It's all right.
It's all right. Someone's got all 3 Newcastle defenders in their team. That's a sticky wicket to be in, to be honest. And he said that he's captaining Son since Liverpool squad needs chemistry. I don't quite agree with that point. I think
Chemistry's an interesting one to.
I think you've looked quite good. I think you've been
I'd say chemistry's an interesting one to. I think if he just said I'm captain in Son because would have been a better reason.
Yeah, I definitely think there is some room to potentially go for Salah. Obviously, if that assist isn't ruled out, he's the only player in the game who hasn't blanked so far. So, very consistent. Obviously, he's going to play in the game. He's probably going to play 90 minutes as well.
Yeah.
Whereas is Son going to make the full 90? He's obviously been coming off quite early. He's got this minor injury that they're kind of handling as well in training at the moment. So there is question marks about his
Don't say that, lad. Otherwise, I'll bench him.
Someone's asked, will Saka not play or is Arteta just playing mind games? It's honestly so difficult to call. Apparently there's going to be a late fitness call on Bukayo Saka, but Arteta seems to love him. He's got this consecutive game streak as well, hasn't he? Like 86 games without, a break.
It does also seem like he's bitten off more than he can chew, though, with Arteta, don't you think? I feel like he may actually
be injured.
Yeah. I mean, you'd like to think that Arteta knows what he's doing, but like we said earlier today, so it's baffling that he played against Lens last night, yeah, and even the game at the weekend, it was just strange that he made it when it was such a doubt, and then he goes off injured, then he plays yesterday. So like you say, he could probably turn up with crutches and start, but then at the same time he may have actually got himself injured, and Arteta's got himself in a bit of a muddle, because you really would think he would have rested him and wrapped him in cotton wool for the game that he's got this weekend.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think it's one of the daftest decisions to play him in a game that, yeah, it's the Champions League, but it's a game on paper where you look at that and you expect Arsenal to win. And even if Saka is the only player missing out of that lineup, you'd still expect them to go and put in a comfortable performance there, to be honest. Maybe even just, 30 minutes off the bench if things aren't going well. That probably would have been a better use of Saka. So it seems like a very weird decision, to be honest. Lucas has asked, double up on the Tottenham midfield, or should I keep Martin Odegaard?
I'd double up.
So go with Martin Odegaard. That's the solid advice.
Is that the time, lad? I've got this 50th.
We can wrap up if you want, mate. If you've got to shoot, you've got to shoot. Whose 50th birthday is it, lad? Are you going to give him a shout out to the millions watching?
It's the woman I'm seeing actually at the moment.
Oh, 50th birthday, lucky devil.
Yeah, Gam.
Good old Gam. I always knew you was a bit of a MILF hunter, to be honest.
Oh well, Mel. I've finally managed to hit the bullseye with the old golden oldies.
Yeah. I bet they love FPL streams as well, don't they?
Well, I was told I can't shave this mustache because of it. They like feeling young again. They're like, oh, it reminds me of when I was back in the 80s.
I was thinking more 70s with that handlebar mustache you've got right there.
Same thing, really. Yeah. It's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Right.
The chat didn't have a clue about that at that time. These are probably all millennials.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to end the poll for Bedshitter of the Week, and we are going to announce the winner. Here we go.
I'm not gonna lie, mate. I think it was quite a convincing one. Yeah.
Estupinian has taken that with 75% of the vote. He is our third winner of Bedshit of the Week. Purvis, if you want to get in touch and claim your award, you know where to hit us up on Twitter at FPLTom_. Hit me up there, and we will hand over your Bedshitter of the Week. Right, I think we're going to leave it there so Jake can go and shoot off to his girlfriend's 50th birthday meal. So happy 50th to everyone.
Just every woman that's 50.
Every woman that's 50. Happy birthday to you all. But yeah, good luck this game week, ladies and gentlemen. I will be live for the deadline stream at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on TikTok. Jake will be in the chat as well. We'll probably answer some questions. There'll be some more nonsense in there as well. So yeah, if you want to get involved with that, come along on 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. But yeah, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your evening.